It's early morning here in my neck of the woods, and as the sun rises in the east, so a lot of things are uprising in my native land of Barbados and the Caribbean. That is not all bright sunshine, but doom and gloom. Even here in America, whereby we have an increasing rebellious group against law and order, against civility, against tranquility. So that the Bible says that the lawlessness will increase among those who are godless. But in Barbados we see 30 murders in the first 6 months of the year in a small country with only around 265,000 people. An island that is only 14 miles wide by 21 miles long, 154 square feet, which is outrageous. And why can crime continue to increase? Why? Well, it's a simple equation, as I said before. If the authorities or the people in power are not proactive in preventing the criminal activity or mentoring the youth in the right way and allowing rebelliousness to continue, then you will only have an increase in the mortality rate. For instance, long ago, the wisest man that ever lived, King Solomon, said this at Ecclesiastes chapter 8, 11 to 13. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, underline that word speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. So if you know you have criminals and criminal gang and increasing in criminal activity in your land, wherever it may be, and you do not speedily apprehend and take the criminals off the streets, then you're going to have what? You're going to have a flash flood of violence, death, chaos, and mayhem going on. And this is exactly what is going on in Barbados. Because the government have got in bed with the criminal activity and therefore is unable to rein them in because they have become part and parcel of the lawlessness. Now, in Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 18 to 21, is outlined there that parents can play a great role in preventing rebelliousness and antisocial behavior and criminal activity by the right kind of upbringing and discipline. For instance, if a parent in the Jewish time had a child who was not listening to them, who was going after what is wrong, then it was the parent's duty to take that child out to the elders and have them speak to that child and try to change his ways. If he refused that and continue in his wayward activities, then the parents was to take that child out to the public square and that child would be stoned to death. Now recently in Barbados we have there a criminal who have committed murder, escaped from custody, and the parents and the whole family tried to hide him from authorities and that was encouraging his criminal activity, contrary to God's laws. The love of that parent should have turned that young man right back into the hands of the authority that he can face the punishment. According to Ecclesiastes chapter 8, 11 to 13, it said, if the criminal is not dealt with speedily, their hearts become set to fully do bad. So when the parents and the whole family encourage that young man to hide from the authorities after committing murder, of which he should have received the death penalty, then they are putting in his mind it's okay to continue into his criminal ways and others to do so, especially when you already have 30 murders in that small island and continuing. So if the parents want to help curtail the criminal activity anywhere in the world, they have to do what God says. Is that train up your child in the way he should go, and when he get old he will not depart. But if he begin to depart, then you're supposed to take that child to get counseling. I remember when I was young and a child was behaving badly, the parents would take him to the nearest police station to the sergeant. The sergeant would throw a few lashes in his behind, and that child would behave. And if he act up again, he would end up in where? In the juvenile detention facility in Dulles, or vice versa. And when he come out, he'll be a different person. And that was in keeping with Ecclesiastes chapter 8, 11 to 13, which say you must sentence or correct the badness early, so that the child do not become set in his ways to do bad. So when parents are seeing their children are run around with weapons, shooting, robbing, stabbing, raping, what is that parent supposed to do? Turn that child over to the authorities. Give him up. Give him up. Give that child up. Do not allow that child to escape the authorities by concealing him or give him cover, because you'll only set in his mind to do bad. So parents, I'm here to tell you, wherever you are, especially in Barbados, as I said in the video before, you are responsible for some of the criminal activities in your communities. By not yourself setting a good example in your household, by not disciplining your children, by not speaking to other young people in community to rear them up in a way they should go. Yes, the government holds some responsibility, but parents, you too, must step up to the plate and realize that charity begins at home. And if you have a criminal household, all your offspring will be criminals. So when a mother, a brother, and the whole family now is arrested for harboring the murder and the criminal on the island, what do that tell you? How many more criminal households do you have on the island that the murder rate and the crime is skyrocketing and going out of control? It's because that many people do not see the need to come out and speak out against what is wrong, to discipline their children, to notify the authorities of any criminal activity in their communities. If you see something, you damn well say something. And this time is if you know someone who is running about with illegal weapons, who is robbing and raping, you know them. Notify the authorities who they are and of their whereabouts. Because if you don't, you only encourage them to continue in their activities. The Bible said, if sentence is not speedily executed against an evil work, the heart of the sons of men have become fully set to do evil. So you have to give up the criminals. You have to give up the gangsters. You have to give up the drug dealers. You have to give up the rapists. And anyone committing acts of violence or antisocial behavior, these people must be made known to the authorities. And starting with the Prime Minister of Barbados, you must detach yourself from the criminal elements and allow the law enforcement agency to do their job fully, to apprehend the criminals and bring them to justice. You should be leading the way. You do not cut deals with criminal gangs. You know who they are, Mayor. You know hell you knows. And you yourself must stop being the crime minister in chief that is aiding and abetting these crimes. You're not doing nothing about it. Stop being part of it. Stop coming out and highlighting all your nonsense and deal with what you should deal with. That is getting rid of the guns, the gangs, the crooks, the rapists off your island. The president of El Salvador had one of the worst countries in the world. And by using wisdom and knowledge and a zero tolerance policy, he has made El Salvador one of the safest countries in the world by apprehending the criminals, showing tough love, and putting them where the hell they belong. I'm calling now on the Prime Minister of Barbados to do the same thing, or step down. Matter of fact, I think it's better for she to go, because you cannot correct criminality when you are in bed with the criminals. You cannot correct criminality when you are sympathetic to those who are doing the criminal activity. You cannot compromise with what is wrong. You have to apprehend those doing what is wrong to stop it from going out of control. And if you have 30 murders on that small island, and it could be much more, and you're not doing nothing about it, then you need to resign and get the hell out of there and let someone come in who will do what is right, to apprehend the criminals and bring justice. Again, I'm going to say, Ecclesiastes said this, chapter 8, starting at verse 11. His sentence is not speedily executed against an evil. Then the evildoer has become in his heart fully set to do evil. He will only increase his criminal activity, and others will follow. So you lead by example. And more importantly, if you are not apprehending the criminals and showing tough love, then you are only aiding and abetting the criminal activity on your island, and the deaths will increase exponentially. Step down. You are a very ineffective, and out of touch with reality Prime Minister, who have no damn clue about what the hell you are doing, except to bring chaos and disorder to your island, and aiding and abetting criminal activity by not allowing the law enforcement agencies to do their job fully, to seek out, apprehend, and bring the criminals to justice. It's time for action. It's time to stop the criminal activity. It's time not to harbor criminals and give them safe harbor. And for that family who was just arrested, shame on you. Shame on you. Because you have aided and abetted criminality to go on. You shall face the ultimate penalty for what you have done. It is not good, because the Bible said that if you had a wayward child, you're supposed to take him out to the authorities and let them rein him in. And if he continue in his bad ways, he should be put to death. So that son that commit murder should have been put to death, not allowed to be incarcerated that he could escape. He deserved the death penalty. God said, anyone shedding man's blood, by man should his blood be shed. No sympathy for those committing acts of murder. No sympathy should be shown, because it sets a bad precedent that you could do these things and still go on to live. And it would encourage others to do the same thing. So that Ecclesiastes chapter 11 comes back into play. If sentence is not speedily executed against an evil, the heart of the sons of man will be set to fully do bad, and hence you have the criminal activity increasing. Here in America, the president is wisely trying to get rid of all the criminal elements out of the communities. And what the opposing party is doing is trying to aid and abet the criminality by doing every kind of obstruction measures to prevent the criminals from being apprehended and deported. Now, what is that? That means that you are going to encourage more people to behave in an antisocial and law-defiant manner, and you will bring more disaster and criminality to the neighborhoods. So anyone who do not want to apprehend criminals or give them safe harbor is going against God's divine order that you shall apprehend and punish the evildoer in a speedy manner, so that others can look on and see what the consequences will be if they commit antisocial criminal activity. I'm calling for tough love and zero tolerance for anyone, anywhere, carry on acts of antisocial criminal behavior, that they must be apprehended speedily and face the ultimate penalty. And those aiding and abetting must be apprehended also and charged as accessories to the fact. And there you have it.